All right, so get this. Today we're looking at affiliate content pilot. Have you heard about this?
I have, actually. I've seen some buzz around it online.
Yeah, it's supposed to be this revolutionary tool for affiliate marketing, specifically for content creation.
Content creation's a big one, yeah. Especially with affiliate marketing, there's just so much content out there already.
Exactly. And this tool basically claims it can take like a YouTube video, right, and turn it into all these different articles for you.
Like, automatically.
Yeah, so it's all AI powered. Supposedly it can pump out like 10 articles in just a few minutes.
Wow. That's a lot of content.
Right, and not just random stuff either. Like they say it uses 10 different content angles. So you get reviews, comparisons, even things like those pain educate solution copywriting frameworks. Those are everywhere these days.
I do. So it's not just churning out generic blog posts, it's trying to create strategic content.
Exactly. And the interesting thing is they keep mentioning this guy, Paul Murphy, who's apparently a successful affiliate marketer.
Okay.
Yeah, and they say he uses this strategy they call content clustering plus authority site piggybacking. Ever heard of that?
I have, yeah. It's basically about creating a bunch of content around a specific niche and then strategically publishing it on platforms with high domain authority.
So like Medium, LinkedIn, places like that.
Exactly. The idea is to tap into their existing audience and boost your search engine rankings.
That makes sense. So you're basically borrowing their credibility in a way.
Right. It can be effective, but it's important to do it ethically and follow the guidelines of each platform. You don't want to get flagged as scam.
Definitely. So this affiliate content pilot claims it helps you do all that, which is a pretty bold claim.
It is, especially when you consider the price.
Oh, yeah. That's the crazy part. They're offering most time access for only $17.
$17? Seriously?
Seriously. They even compare it to the cost of a meal at Chipotle, implying you're getting a way better deal here.
Well, that's certainly a way to frame it. I mean, it's a remarkably low price point for a tool that supposedly does all this.
Right. But they do say it's a limited time offer. After that, the price goes up 3 times higher.
Ah, the classic sense of urgency tactic.
Yeah, it definitely makes you think, well, maybe I should jump on this now.
I can see why. But before we get too carried away, I think it's important to ask some critical questions.
Okay, like what?
Is this even sustainable for the developers? I mean, $17 for lifetime access? That seems almost too good to be true.
Yeah, it does make you wonder if there are hidden costs or limitations we're not seeing yet.
Right. And even if the price is legit, we need to think about the value proposition. Does this tool actually deliver on its promises? Is it worth the investment, even if it's just $17?
That's a good point. We need to look beyond the marketing hype and see if this thing actually works as advertised.
Exactly. And we also need to consider the ethical implications.
Oh, yeah. Are we just going to be flooding the internet with AI-generated content?
Well, that's one concern. But there are others, too. How do we ensure the quality and originality of the content? Are we potentially deceiving our audience by using AI?
Those are all good points. We need to be mindful of the potential downsides, even if the tool itself seems promising.
Absolutely. It's not just about making money. It's about doing it the right way.
All right, so let's say you do decide to give Affiliate Content Pilot a try. What happens then? What do you actually get?
Well, according to the material, you get access to a bunch of stuff. Step-by-step tutorials, Paul Murphy's content strategy guide, and even a 30-day money-back guarantee.
Oh, that's good to know. At least they offer a refund if you're not happy with it.
Yeah, that does give you some peace of mind.
They also have an FAQ section that addresses some key questions.
Oh, perfect. What kind of stuff do they cover?
Well, they emphasize that it's a one-time purchase, which is nice, and it's compatible with WordPress, which is probably important for a lot of people.
Makes sense. Anything else stand out?
Yeah, they also mention that you get access to all future updates.
Okay, that's good to know. So you're not just stuck with the initial version. You get all the improvements and new features they roll out.
Right. But there is one thing in the FAQs that caught my eye. Apparently, you need your own ChatGPT account to use this tool.
Interesting. So it's not completely self-contained. You're basically relying on ChatGPT to power the AI content generation.
Exactly. Which means you have to factor in the cost of using ChatGPT. That could be a recurring expense depending on how much content you're churning out.
That's a good point. It's not something they explicitly highlight in their promotional material.
Nope. Definitely something to keep in mind.
It also raises questions about the level of control you have over the content. Can you customize the prompts and outputs, or are you limited to whatever options they've pre-programmed into the tool?
Yeah, good question. We'll have to dig into that as we learn more about how Affiliate Content Pilot actually works.
And of course, the big question is, what about the quality? Can an AI tool really create engaging and unique content that's going to resonate with an audience?
And if it's pulling information from YouTube videos, are there potential copyright issues we need to be aware of?
All valid points. It seems like there's a lot to unpack here. This tool could be incredibly useful, but it's clearly not without its potential risks and ethical considerations.
Yeah, it's definitely not as simple as push a button, get rich.
Definitely not. We need to be smart about how we use these tools and make sure we're not sacrificing quality or ethics for the sake of speed and efficiency.
Okay, so let's get into it. First things first, let's break down this whole content clustering plus authority site piggybacking strategy they keep talking about. What exactly does it mean, and how does Affiliate Content Pilot supposedly help you implement it?
All right, well, content clustering in a nutshell is basically creating a group of articles that are all related to a central theme or keyword. The idea is to create this comprehensive resource that makes you look like an expert on that topic.
Okay, that makes sense. But what about the authority site piggybacking part? How does that fit in?
So that's where you publish your content on these high authority platforms like we talked about before, Medium, LinkedIn, and so on. The idea is to kind of piggyback off their established audience and their high search engine rankings.
Ah, so you're borrowing their clout to boost your own visibility.
Exactly. It can be a really effective way to get your content seen by more people, but again, you have to be careful not to violate their terms of service or come across as spammy.
Right, because getting your account suspended wouldn't exactly be helpful for your affiliate marketing efforts.
Definitely not. And we also need to be mindful of the ethical implications. Are we sacrificing quality for quantity? Are we potentially deceiving our audience with AI-generated content?
All important questions. We'll have to grapple with those as we dig deeper into Affiliate Content Pilot.
Agreed.
But before we go any further, I think it's time we took a closer look at this Paul Murphy guy and his success story. What can we learn from him, and how can those lessons be applied to using this tool effectively?
That's a great question. Let's unpack that in the next part of our deep dive. So we were talking about Paul Murphy, right? This successful affiliate marketer who apparently uses the same strategy as this affiliate content pilot tool.
Yeah, I think it's worth taking a closer look at his story, see what we can learn from his approach.
Absolutely. Like he seems to have really nailed this whole content clustering and authority site piggybacking thing.
Right, and it's not just theory, it's actually working for him. He's generating real revenue with this strategy.
Exactly, which is why I think it's so important to understand his methods and how they connect to this tool.
Okay, so what specifically stands out to you about Paul Murphy's approach?
Well, one thing he really emphasizes is niche selection, like picking a niche that you're actually passionate about and that has a decent-sized audience willing to spend money.
Yeah, that makes sense. If you're not interested in the topic, it's going to be tough to create good content, right?
Exactly. And if there's no market for the products you're promoting, then, well, you're not going to make any sales.
Right, makes sense. So how does that tie into Affiliate Content Pilot?
Well, the tool's ability to create multiple pieces of content from one video could be really helpful for exploring different angles within a niche.
Oh, interesting. So you could use it to test out different approaches and see what resonates with your audience.
Exactly. It's like instead of spending hours writing different articles from scratch, you can use the tool to quickly generate variations and see which ones perform the best.
Okay, yeah, that's a good point. So it's not just about speed. It's also about strategy and experimentation.
Right. Another key thing about Paul Murphy is that he focuses on creating high-quality content, like stuff that actually provides value to the reader.
Yeah, he's not just pumping out generic, low-effort stuff. He's putting in the work to make it it's informative and engaging.
And that's where I think some of the ethical questions come into play with AI. Like, can we really ensure that AI-generated content meets those same standards of quality?
That's a good point. Google's not going to reward you for just spamming the internet with a bunch of AI-generated fluff.
Exactly. They want to see content that's well-written, informative, and actually helpful to users.
So it's not just about speed. It's about using AI strategically, right, to enhance your workflow without sacrificing quality.
Right, exactly. Quality over quantity.
Got it. Okay, so what else can we learn from Paul Murphy? Anything else relevant to this tool?
Well, he's a big advocate for building an email list. Like, he sees it as this essential asset for connecting directly with your audience and promoting your affiliate offers.
Oh, so you're not just relying on search engines to drive traffic to your content.
Right, you're building your own audience that you can directly market to.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So how does Affiliate Content Pilot fit into that?
Well, they say it can help you generate lead magnets. Like ebooks or checklists that you can offer in exchange for email signups.
Ah, smart. So you're using the AI to attract subscribers and build your email list, which you can then use to promote your affiliate offers.
Exactly. It's a way to diversify your traffic sources and build a more sustainable business.
That's really interesting. So what else? Any other nuggets of wisdom from Paul Murphy?
One more thing. He stresses the importance of consistency and patience. He says building a successful affiliate marketing business takes time and effort.
Yeah, it's not a get-rich-quick scheme, right? You have to be willing to put in the work and be patient.
Exactly. And even if you're using a tool like this to automate some tasks, you still need to be strategic and proactive. committed to your long-term goals.
So it's not just about pushing a button and letting the AI do everything for you.
Right. You still need to be the one driving the ship, so to speak.
Okay, that's really helpful. Thanks for breaking that down. So now that we've looked at Paul Murphy's approach, let's get back to Affiliate Content Pilot itself.
Sure.
Like, how does this thing actually work? What are the steps involved?
Well, it seems pretty straightforward, actually. You start by providing a link to a YouTube video, one that's relevant to your niche and the products you're promoting.
Oh, interesting. So you're basically leveraging existing content as a starting point.
Exactly. It saves you a ton of time compared to creating everything from scratch.
Yeah, that makes sense. Then what?
Then the tool analyzes the video and pulls out the key information, like product features, benefits, potential use cases, all that.
And then, poof, it just spits out 10 different articles.
Pretty much, yeah. They have these 10 content templates that it uses: reviews, comparisons, how-to guides, even those persuasive copywriting frameworks we talked about before.
Wow. It's like having a whole team of writers at your disposal.
That's the idea, but, we have to be careful not to get too carried away with the hype.
Right, right. It all comes back to the quality of the input, right? Garbage in, garbage out.
Exactly. So it's really important to choose good YouTube videos, ones that are informative, well-structured, and relevant to your audience.
Okay, so let's say you've done that. You've fed the tool a high-quality video and has generated 10 articles. What's next?
Well, that's where the authority site piggybacking comes in. Publish on those articles on platforms like Medium, LinkedIn, Reddit, those kinds of places.
Oh, right, right. So you're using those platforms as distribution channels for your content.
Exactly. And by linking back to your website or your affiliate offers, you can drive traffic and generate leads.
It's like creating this network of content, all pointing back to your main hub.
Precisely. But again, we need to do this ethically and make sure we're following the rules of each platform.
Right, definitely. No spamming allowed.
And we also need to remember that just publishing content isn't enough. We have to engage with the community, respond to comments, build relationships.
So it's not just about broadcasting your message, it's about actually being a part of the conversation.
Exactly. And that's something an AI tool can't do for you.
True. Okay, so I'm starting to get the big picture here. This tool could be really helpful for content creation and reach, but it's not a magic solution. You still have to be strategic and put in the work.
Well said. And like with any new technology, there are potential downsides and ethical issues to consider.
Right. Because it's never as simple as it seems, is it? What are some of the things we need to watch out for?
Well, one of the biggest concerns is becoming too reliant on AI-generated content. It's tempting to think we can just let the tool do everything, but that's a recipe for disaster.
It's like if you only ever use GPS to get around, you might get to your destination, but you miss out on all the interesting stuff along the way.
That's a great analogy. It's the same with content creation. If we rely too heavily on AI, we lose our own voice and creativity.
Yeah, we become so focused on efficiency that we forget about the human element that makes content engaging.
Exactly. So it's important to use AI as a tool to supplement our skills, not to replace them.
It's like having a sous chef, right? They can help you with the prep work, but you're still the head chef in charge of the overall vision and execution.
I like that. Another potential pitfall is creating content that just feels generic and repetitive, or even factually inaccurate.
Right, because AI isn't perfect. It can make mistakes, misunderstand information, and sometimes just produce stuff that's not very good.
Exactly. And then there are the ethical considerations, too. We need to be careful about how we're using AI and make sure we're not deceiving our audience.
So it's not just about what we can do with AI, it's about what we should do.
Precisely. We need to use this technology responsibly and ethically.
This has been a really eye-opening conversation. I feel like I'm starting to see both the potential and the risks of using AI for affiliate marketing.
Yeah, it's a complex topic for sure, and it's important to have a balanced perspective.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here. We've looked at Paul Murphy, we've unpacked Affiliate Content Pilot, we've talked about the potential downsides and ethical concerns. What's next? What else should we explore?
Well, I think it's time we address the elephant in the room: the potential for AI-generated content to be flagged as spam or penalized by search engines.
Oh yeah, that's a big one. The eternal struggle between content creators and the algorithms. We definitely need to talk about that. So we were just talking about the big question, right? Like, can we even use this affiliate content pilot thing without getting, slapped on the wrist by Google?
It's a valid concern, right? I mean, what's the point of all this content if it's just going to get buried in the search results?
Exactly. So how do we avoid that? Like, what are the red flags that search engines look for when it comes to AI content?
Well, one of the biggest things is originality. Like, Google really wants to see content that's unique, informative, valuable to users. If it's just a bunch of thin, rehashed stuff, they're going to notice.
Okay, so how do we make sure the content from this tool isn't just like generic flush.
That's where we come in, right? Like, we can't just let the AI run wild. We have to be involved, review the content, edit it, make sure it actually makes sense.
So it's more like we're the editors and AI is our assistant.
Exactly. We're the ones shaping the narrative, adding our own insights, making sure it sounds human and engaging.
Gotcha. Okay, so what else can we do to stay on Google's good side?
Well, one thing is to focus on user intent, like really understanding what people are searching for and giving them the information they need.
Right, it's not just about stuffing keywords into an article.
Exactly. It's about understanding the purpose behind those keywords and delivering content that actually answers the user's question.
Makes sense. And isn't that where content clustering comes in? Like by creating a bunch of articles around one topic, you're showing Google that you're an expert, right?
Right, exactly. You're building authority, you're showing that you have a deep understanding of that topic. And when you link those articles together, it creates a better experience for the user and signals to Google that your content is valuable.
It's like building a little content empire around a keyword.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've got originality, substance, user intent, content clustering. What else?
So we also got to be careful about keyword density. We don't want to overdo it.
Right, because Google can tell when you're just trying to game the system with too many keywords.
Exactly. So it's more about using keywords naturally in a way that makes sense for the reader.
Gotcha. Okay, so what about when we're publishing on those authority sites like Medium and LinkedIn? Do we have to worry about duplicate content?
Yeah, that's a good question. We don't want to get penalized for having the same content on multiple sites.
So how do we avoid that?
Well, one way is to tailor the content for each platform, like maybe tweak the tone a little bit, add some extra insights, or restructure it slightly.
So it's like creating different versions of the same article, but making sure each one is unique and valuable.
Exactly. We want to give each audience something a little different, something tailored to their interests and the style of the platform.
Makes sense. And should we be upfront about using AI? Like, should we tell people that some of our content is AI generated?
I think transparency is always the best policy, right? If you're using AI, be upfront about it.
So no pretending to be a superhuman writing machine.
Exactly. Just be honest and authentic. People appreciate that.
This has been super helpful. I feel like I'm getting a much better grasp on this whole AI thing now.
Me too. It's definitely a lot to think about.
It is, but hey, that's what these deep dives are all about, right?
Absolutely.
All right, so before we wrap up, I want to leave everyone with one last thing to ponder.
Okay, I'm listening.
As AI gets better and better, it's going to become harder to tell the difference between human-written content and AI-written content.
Yeah, that's true. The lines are definitely blurring.
So the real question is, what does it even mean to be a writer in the age of AI?
Wow, that's a deep one.
I know, right? Something to think about.
Definitely.
Well, on that note, I think it's time to say goodbye. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into Affiliate Content Pilot.
It's been a pleasure.
Always a pleasure. And until next time, stay curious, everyone.